Every photo app loves to remind you where you were a year ago. A year ago, I was setting up my wheel, unpacking boxes, thinking I was finally stepping into the next big chapter. And I was, but it wasn't the chapter I planned. I spent 3 months in chemical-induced menopause. The whole world seemed to be spinning off its axis, and my mind went with it. I went into psychosis. And then the month after psychosis, I got to man my first ever craft fair booth. After that, I got my surgery to remove the 10-centimeter fibroid that was lodged in my uterus. Hooray for me. And once I started feeling good enough to start physical activity again, I started a garden and began taking walks outside in my neighborhood. Hot girl walks. I live in a neighborhood where the average age is old. So gossip is the local sport, and it's the only cardio anyone is getting. They see me doing something as simple as taking a walk and decide that means that I'm unstable. I had to then cut off a chunk of my family as well, because some of them can't seem to wrap their noggins around the thought that they voted for a rapist and a felon. They'd rather blame immigrants or liberals or whoever the propaganda machine tells them to, instead of using the tiny computers in their hands to do 5 minutes of actual research. Who can blame them? I mean, who wants to dig deeper than the clickbait headlines about how Californians are installing litter boxes in the school bathrooms for furries? After psychosis, I realized my mind doesn't have the capacity or the patience to constantly be correcting people who are committed to ignorance. So we had to cut a couple ties for sanity's sake. Then my ex and I broke up, and I invited some friends to come visit me in California, thinking they would be a respite from the chaos and heartbreak, but instead they said, hell no, and added some gasoline to that fire. My friend's partner couldn't follow some housekeeping rules, and I had to ask them to cut the visit short, which resulted in them deciding to paint me as a villain who was an alcoholic and was out of control, even though he continuously told me how much he didn't want to be here as a guest in my home. It didn't make sense. But the icing on the cake was him eventually spreading a rumor that my house was filled with fleas. After that, there was Brucey, the grown man who stormed up to me shouting, calling me names, threatening me while I was working, volunteering at my local garden. The nursery club's response was telling me I need to work under him because he had been there longer. The logic here is pretty simple. Mutual respect doesn't exist when age alone automatically makes someone right. Next, my 90-year-old landlords threatened to evict me for bullying them. Not bullying them with threats, not with violence, just with tone. Apparently, using complete sentences and not baby-talking grown adults is now considered emotional warfare? Now I'm here, finally, where things seem to be settling down a little. It's been a year of watching absurd power dynamics play out on every level. Everyone else scrambling to feel like the wounded one, playing the victim, while I'm the one standing in the wreckage holding the receipts. Here's my unsolicited wisdom from your very deranged but self-aware bestie. Be yourself. It's very dangerous not to. And you may not be where you thought you'd be at this point in your life, but that's just it. Life. It doesn't stop to ask if some of its storms fit into your agenda. The plan you pictured rarely survives contact with reality. And waiting for the world to hand you your dream will only leave you waiting empty-handed while time moves on. The only way forward is to keep reaching, even when your hands are shaking, even when you're down to what you think is your last dance to fight. Success isn't about everything going your way. It's about refusing to quit when they don't.